All right, so we're here for a Canadian real estate housing market update, looking at cities across Canada from Vancouver and Victoria all the way to Toronto and cities all over the place, all over Canada. As many of you know, I'm in the Edmonton market. I'm a realtor here in Edmonton, but it can be good sometimes, even if you're only buying a house in one market in Canada, is to see how that housing market compares to other markets across Canada. So if you're from Edmonton, it's going to be a lot different if we're looking at the housing market in Toronto or Vancouver and vice versa. So as usual, if you'd like to skip ahead to specific cities, if you use the chapters below, or you could just skip through the video to get to the cities that you're interested in, or if you want to get an overall view of how the Canadian housing market's doing, just watch the whole video. So we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to start with some stats that cover all of Canada, and then we're going to go into some individual markets. So let's jump right in. Looking at Canada national stats, like I said, this is the November update, and so we have to use the most recent statistics that are available, and that's from the month of October. So in the month of October in Canada, there was 36,260 sales. That's the number of properties that actually sold that month, which is a 1.3% increase from the month before. So we've got a modest increase there. But if we compare it to the sales of last year, that's down 36%. So there's quite a big drop in the number of transactions that are happening across Canada or for Canada as a whole compared to this time last year. Now, the number of new listings for Canada was sitting at 69,946. So that gives us a sales to new listings ratio of about 52%. Which from my perspective, being in the Edmonton market, still seems relatively healthy, even though it's much different than what some markets were used to earlier in the year. Months of inventory for Canada was sitting at 3.8 months of inventory. That's how long it would take to sell all the available listings if no new listings came on the market, if sales continued at the same pace that they are right now. Now, the composite benchmark price for Canada as a whole was sitting at $735,400. Which was down 1.4% from last month and down 0.8% from last year. So we're seeing that prices are still continuing to come down. We had some pretty big gains earlier in the year, and to see that we're now year over year actually down shows you how much the market has actually shifted since early spring. Now, jumping over to the Toronto real estate market, there was 4,961 sales in the month of October, which is down 1.5% from last month and down 49.1% from last year. So you're seeing in this market definitely a lot less sales than what we had last year. There was 10,390 new listings, and there's a sales to new listings ratio of 48%. In terms of active inventory at the end of the month, we were sitting at 13,023, which is a 3.7% drop in inventory from last month, but a 68.1% increase in inventory from the same time last year. Months of inventory is sitting at 2.6 months of inventory, and the benchmark price in Toronto was $1,098,200. That represents a 1.1% drop in the composite price and from last month, and a 1.3% drop from the prices of last year. Let's jump over to the Vancouver real estate market. In Vancouver, in the month of October, there was 1,903 sales, which was actually up 12.8% from last month. So we're seeing an improvement in sales compared to last month, but it's down 45.5% from last year. There was 9,852 new listings, giving you a sales to new listings ratio of only 19%. So you're seeing a really big shift in the sales to new listings ratio that's been apparent in Vancouver for a while now, much different than what we were seeing last year. The benchmark price in Vancouver was $705,200, which is down 3.3% from last month and down 8.9% from last year. Now, jumping over to Calgary, Calgary had 1,857 sales, which was down 2.3% from last month and down 15% from last year. So we're not seeing as big of a drop compared to some of these other markets in Calgary. So from that perspective, Calgary is actually doing pretty good. There's 2,175 new listings, which gives you a sales new listings ratio of 85%, which is quite strong. Active inventory is sitting at 3,887, which is down 12.7% from last month. So we're seeing some of the inventory come off the market. It's a combination of seasonality, but also the sales have actually been pretty decent in Calgary. The inventory levels are down 20.3% from last year, and there's 2.1 months of inventory. Now the composite price in Calgary is sitting at $523,900, which is down 0.7% from last month. So we're still seeing prices come down a bit in Calgary, at least for the benchmark home, and they're up 9.6% for the year. So Calgary is one of the few markets that's actually still up substantially from this time last year. Hopping over to Edmonton, the greater Edmonton area, there was 1,469 sales, which is down 6.7% from last month, and down 21% from the same time last year. There was 2,650 new listings, so that gives us a sales new listings ratio of 55%. Pretty common, not common, but Edmonton has been in that sort of range for a while previously, if you don't count earlier this year. So it's kind of back to the normal in a way in Edmonton. Now, the active inventory at the end of the month in Edmonton, or the greater Edmonton area, was sitting at 7,143, which was down 7.5% from last month. Now, the months of inventory in Edmonton is sitting at 4.9 months in the greater Edmonton area, and the benchmark price was sitting at $372,000, which is down 2.5% from last month and down 0.6% from last year. As I mentioned, I do work as a real estate agent in the Edmonton area, so if you're looking at buying or selling a home in the Edmonton and surrounding communities, feel free to give me a call at 780-819-5508, or go to booktrevornow.com, and then you can select a time on my calendar and we can hop on a call. Let's go to the next market here. We're looking at the Ottawa Real Estate Board. There was 987 sales, which is down 9% from last month and 41% from last year. There was 2,047 new listings, which gives you a sales to new listings ratio of 48% in Ottawa. Now, the active inventory at the end of the month was sitting at 3,257, which was up 3.9% from last month. And the months of inventory sitting at 3.3 months of inventory. Now, the benchmark price in Ottawa is $630,800, which is down 2% from last month and up 0.8% from last year. All right, now let's look at the city of Winnipeg. In Winnipeg, there was 1,063 sales, which is down 11.8% from last month and down 29.5% from last year. There was 1,730 new listings and a sales to new listings ratio of 61%. There was 3,687 active listings at the end of the month, which means that the inventory's dropped 5.4% from last month, but the inventory's up 41.6% from last year. They have 3.5 months of inventory and a benchmark price of $337,400. That benchmark price is down 0.73% from last month, but up 1.5% from last year. Now, looking over at the Hamilton and Burlington market, there was 756 sales, which was up 25.3% from last month, but down 40.8% from last year. There was 1,557 new listings, giving you a sales to new listings ratio of 49%. There was 2,348 active listings at the end of the month, which is up 22.1% from last month and up 192% from last year. There's 3.1 months of inventory, and the benchmark price was sitting at $836,800. That's down 0.6% from last month and down 6.4% from last year. Now, in the Kitchener-Waterloo board, there was 491 sales this month, which is down 39.7% from last year. Missing the stat from last month, but it's down 39.7% from last year. There was 827 new listings, which gives you a sales new listings ratio of 59%. 928 active listings at the end of the month. So they've seen an increase of 134.9% from last year. Their months of inventory sitting at 1.9 months, and the composite price was $723,200. That's down 0.2% from last month and down 8.8% from last year. Now, over in London and St. Thomas, they had 504 sales, which was up 1.4% from last month, but down 41.7% from last year. They had 975 new listings, which gives them a sales new listings ratio of 52%. There was 1,620 active listings at the end of the month, which is down 4.3% from last month, but up 224% from last year. They have 3.2 months of inventory, a benchmark price of $584,200, which is down 2.1% from last month and down 5.6% from last year. Looking over at the Niagara region, there was 459 sales, which is down 8.9% from last month and down 47.6% from last year. They had 1,131 new listings, giving them a sales to new listings ratio of 41%. They did have 5 months of inventory at this time, and they were sitting at a benchmark price of $653,500, which was down 1.2% from last month and down 3.9% from last year. Windsor, Essex market, they had 407 sales, which is up 0.99% from last month and up 44.2% from last year. They had 885 new listings, giving them a sales to new listings ratio of 46%. They had 1,273 active listings, which was down 9.5% from last month and up 83.2% from last year. They have 3.1 months of inventory and a benchmark price of $590,700. Which is actually down 4% from last month, but up 6.2% from last year. Durham region, there were 632 sales, which is down 4.5% from last month and down 40% from last year. 1,183 new listings, giving them a sales to new listings ratio of 53%. They had 1,093 active listings at the end of the month, which is a 0.2% increase from last month. 1.7 months of inventory. I don't have the benchmark price data, so we will move on to the next market. Greater Victoria had 480 sales, which is up 17.1% from last month, but down 35.6% from last year. They have 2,192 active listings at the end of the month, which is down 4.7% from last month and up 111% since last year. They had 4.6 months of inventory and a benchmark price of $1,341,400. That's down 1.7% from last month and up 10.2% from last year. New Brunswick had 805 sales, which was down 8.5% from last month and down 31.1% from last year. There was 965 new listings, giving them a sales new listings ratio of 83%. There was 2,912 active listings at the end of the month, which is down 7.8% from last month and down, actually up 11.4% from last year. They have 3.6 months of inventory and a benchmark price of $274,000. That's down 2.8% from last month and up 11.7% from last year. Over in Nova Scotia, they had 875 sales, which was down 9.9% from last month and down 31% from last year. 1,125 new listings, giving them a sales to new listings ratio of 78%. There's 3,121 active listings at the end of the month, which is down 5.9% from last month, but up 20.6% from last year. 3.6 months of inventory, a benchmark price of $374,900, which is down 2.8% from last month and up 9.8% from last year. Looking at the Quebec City Metro, there was 630 sales, which was up 8% from last month and down 17% from last year. There was 1,030 new listings, giving the sales to new listings ratio of 61% and active inventory of 3,067. Inventory is up 6.3% from last month and up 1% from last year. They're sitting at 4.9 months of inventory, a benchmark price of $322,700, and that's up 1% from last month and 8.7% from last year. Over Montreal Metro, they had 2,770 sales, which is up 9.1% from last month, down 35% from last year. There was 5,440 new listings, giving a sales to new listings ratio of 51%. They had 16,269 active listings, which is up 4.6% from last month and up 50% from last year. Months of inventory are sitting at 5.9 months, and the benchmark price was $504,800. That's down 1.2% from last month, but up 2.8% from last year. And that is it for the Canadian housing market update for the month of November. That was all the October stats. I hope you got value out of this video. If you want to check out more videos like this, make sure to like this video and subscribe. You can click over here to subscribe, and you can click over here to watch another video. Thanks so much for watching.